Hello, my name is Mike Maley, and I work for the Oregon Department of Human Services, Seniors and People with Disabilities, and I'm a manager within the Community and Family Supports section. And I've been asked to talk for a couple of minutes about hiring staff and being an employer as a foster care provider. And before I start my presentation, I would just like to note that as a foster care provider, you'll be asked to comply with specific Oregon administrative rules. And as you go through your training and orientation, you no doubt will become very familiar with those rules. But as a part of them, they will specify the qualifications for people who can work in a foster home. And those will be things like specifying the age, people must be 18 or above, specifying the fact that people have to pass a criminal background check, and really states the basics like people need to be trained and have the skills necessary to do the work that you're asking of them. So again, it's something just to keep in mind as we proceed with this presentation. So at some point, as a foster care provider, you may want to obtain some help in getting the job done that you need to do. And as a practical matter, there are really only three ways to accomplish that. The first way would be to hire someone through an agency, such as a temporary employment service, a nursing service, or a home health care agency, where you are in fact hiring that agency who will then provide their staff to work in your home and get the things done that you want to do. And as you explore that particular option, I think you'll find that there are distinct advantages and disadvantages to doing that, and that would simply be a business decision that you would want to make. The other two options that you would have if you want to get staff assistance into your home would be to either engage an independent contractor or to hire your own employee. And in thinking about an independent contractor or an employee, it's very, very important that you really know which one is which, because sometimes there can really be some confusion between those two concepts, or quite frankly, sometimes there's a temptation to call somebody an independent contractor as a means to kind of avoid or circumvent some of the obligations that you would have as an employer if you in fact hired your own staff. So again, it's important to kind of distinguish what's an independent contractor and what's an employee. And if you're thinking about an independent contractor, kind of the best way I can kind of conceptualize that is to really think about kind of hiring a plumber, if you will. Because what you're doing when you're looking for an independent contractor is somebody who has a specific kind of technical skill or professional expertise that you need, and they are in fact truly in business for themselves. And by truly in business, what I mean is they are individuals that you wouldn't have to train or supervise because they already bring the skills with them that you need. They can set their own hours to do the work. They can use their own equipment or supplies. They can hire somebody else to do the work that you want them to do. They have multiple customers, if you will, and they take the risk of either earning a profit or experiencing a loss. So in short, these are people that are in business for themselves, that you exert very little control over, and what you are really purchasing is kind of the outcome or the product of their particular service. Now, in the world of services for people with developmental disabilities, there are very legitimate examples of independent contractors. For example, there are registered nurses or dietitians or physical therapists or behavior support specialists who really start their own business and provide their skills and expertise to a number of individuals or a number of service providers. But if you're really looking for somebody to come into your home on a regular basis, provide basic services to the individuals you're supporting, such as their care and supervision, then it's really going to be hard-pressed to call somebody of that nature an independent contractor. And in fact, there's a real risk of calling somebody an independent contractor if they truly are not, and they are probably an employee. So for example, there could be problems with taxes with the IRS or other taxing authorities. Unemployment, if somebody should submit an unemployment claim and you've called them an independent contractor and they're really an employee. Or, heaven forbid, if somebody gets hurt on the job and they submit a workers' compensation claim, there could be some issues associated with that if people aren't properly classified as an independent contractor or an employee. So it's really important to distinguish between the two. And if they truly are not an independent contractor, then your third option is to hire your own employee. And there are certain things to consider in doing that. Number one, there are very specific paperwork and record-keeping requirements if you have an employee. Secondly, you would have to comply with certain wage and hour laws such as minimum wage and overtime. And third, there are associated other kinds of laws that would come into place such as civil rights laws. So if you're really contemplating hiring an employee, the thing to do is really do some research and get some consultation so you make sure that that is done properly. If you have access to an attorney or a CPA, and they would be really good folks to talk to and get their advice and consultation around what you really need to do to hire an employee. Fortunately, there are some other resources here in the state of Oregon that can really help you in making that decision and informing you what you really need to do to hire an employee and make sure that that is done consistently with all the laws and regulations at play. One of the resources is the Oregon Corporation Division, and they put out a book called the Oregon Business Guide, which is really a very helpful book on not only just setting up a business in general, but specific information about what you need to do if you have employees. And I think with the training materials that you're getting with this videotape, that will give you, those materials will give you all of the contact information about the Oregon Corporation Division. A second resource here in Oregon that is extremely helpful is the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries. And they publish a number of materials that are helpful, including a wage and hour handbook that really helps walk through all the laws and regulations that you have to consider when hiring an employee. They also have a service called Technical Assistance for Employers, where there is actually a toll-free number that you can call in. Actually, it's not toll-free, I'm sorry, but a number that you can call into and talk to somebody with specific questions that you may have, and they can help you walk through the answers to those questions and give you some advice. And they also have, if you have access to the internet, a web page that has a very good question and answer section on there that is a good frame of reference for all the things you need to think about for being an employer and the most commonly, and answers to the most commonly asked questions that employers have. So in closing, I just want to wish you good luck in your endeavors as being a foster care provider. And as a foster care provider, you're providing a very valuable and a very important service. So I want to thank you in advance for what you are about to engage in. Thank you.
Welcome to the training on